Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lab Talk. It's number 32. It's been just a week since we saw you last on the show, but we've got a lot to tell you about from Embedded World 2025, where we were last week. And that includes Editor-in-Chief Jens Nickel.
Hello, Brian. How are you?
Good, thanks. Sounding good today. And of course, our engineer Jean-Francois Simon was there as well.
Hey, Brian. Nice to see you again.
You too. We're all back in our respective homes, and you might hear a bit of a change in voice in me and Jean-Francois. Somehow I think we got the same cold. We also have a special guest today from Arduino who was there at the Embedded World 2025 in full force. Today we're joined by Keith Jackson. He's the marketing manager at Arduino, and he has over 25 years of experience, and he's helped expand Arduino's reach. He was also at Embedded World 2025. Welcome, Keith.
Yep. Hi, Brian. Good to see you all.
You too. Glad to have you here. Looking forward to the conversation because we've got people from all around the world, as we always do. Austria, Denmark, Belgium, Egypt, Brazil, the USA. So we're covering the time zones as we do. But before we go on, let me remind you of our ST contest that we've got going on. There we go. Attention all makers and engineers and AI enthusiasts, the STM32 Edge AI contest is here. It's powered by ST Microelectronics, and this is your chance to push the boundaries of AI and edge computing with the cutting-edge STM32N6 Discovery Kit. You can compete for your share of €5,000 in prizes, with the first place taking home $2,500. So submit your boldest Edge AI ideas by April 30th, 2025, and bring them to life by September 1st for a shot at the grand prize. Free development boards are available for selected participants, so don't wait. Enter now as you see electormagazine.com/STM32AI to turn your innovation into reality. Now, it wouldn't be a lab talk if we didn't have a giveaway. We are giving away an NXP Freedom Development Board Bundle. It's a powerful kit that includes the FRDM or Freedom MCX-N 947 board and a full guidebook to help you get started with AI, IoT, motor control, and more. And with dual Cortex M33 cores, a built-in neural processing unit, and compatibility with Arduino shields, it's perfect for prototyping advanced projects. So if you want a chance to win, stay tuned later and we'll give you the giveaway details. So let's talk Embedded World 2025. I guess since you're the special guest, Keith, I'll go straight to you. I visited your booth. We've got some nice photographs here as well. Let's get those up on screen as we chat over it. How did the show go for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was a very good show, Brian. I mean, what's interesting is from an Arduino perspective, that's the second time we've had our own booth at the show. So the last 2 years, Arduino has had a dedicated space. It was new for us. And funnily enough, when we first started going to these more professional developer type shows, we always had a common question. People used to drop by, they'd go, "Oh, great, wonderful to see Arduino." And then they'd say, "But why are you here?" And that was because they always associated us as being a maker-based business. But what was really, really pleasing from this year's Embedded World, I didn't hear that point raised by one visitor in the whole time I was there. So finally, I think we're starting to be fully accepted by, your kind of professional industrial type users. And that, that goes throughout the show, but obviously the last day typically is students who come through. We have lots of people who come with a kind of maker background on that last day, and we're as happy to greet them as anybody else.
Yeah, I did raise that point, but I didn't say why are you here. I did mention that you started off makery with your blue boards, the Arduino Uno being the famous one. And look at you now. That's a conversation I had with Marcello at the booth. If you want to watch it, just head over to our YouTube channel, Elektor.tv will get you there. And yeah, good coverage of the Arduino booth there.
Yeah, and it's definitely. Oh, sorry, Brian, go.
No, you carry on.
I was just going to say, yeah, it's definitely a journey we've been on where, you know, obviously Arduino started with the kind of maker side of things, but now that we have our system on modules with the Portenta family, shows like our embedded world are increasing relevant to us. But then we've still got things like Arduino Days celebration this weekend coming, where we really work closely with the community. So we're not forgetting our roots. It's just that it's another important market for Arduino as we have the kind of enterprise customers.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's not just you who've changed your color scheme slightly to go more industrial. I noticed at the Raspberry Pi booth this year, that pink, red kind of color that they've got, that was gone. And we had the gray background and industrial partners there. So
yes, I noticed that as well. I mean, I've got a bit past history working with the Raspberry Pi team. So it's also good to meet them and see them at shows like this as well. So it's good for the whole kind of maker community that both businesses are involved in.
Yeah, and you've been around long enough to say that the people you started as makers have grown up now, and maybe they're in industry, so you're still holding their hands all the way.
Absolutely, and I mean, it's a subtle change, but if you see the logo there behind Marcello's head, it was just the Arduino logo. When we first started going to these events, we were trying to push it purely as Arduino Pro, but it's a bit misleading because, you know, a maker is somebody who's passionate and enthusiastic about electronics. And more often than not, their day job was electronics in the industry somewhere. And then in the evening, they get to pursue their passion at home by inventing new gadgets, testing out new projects. So to try separate the two it's a bit of a misnomer. They tend to be the same people who are enthusiastic about what you can do in the world with electronics.
Yeah. And well, since we're talking about the show, and we've all got some photographs, some things to bat around, shall we start with Jens asking what you saw at the show?
We can start, but I have a question to Keith.
Yeah.
Because Arduino also has a birthday this time, and I think it's the 20th, Keith.
Yes, it is. So it's a bit of a milestone for us. It's an important landmark to have got to 20 years, yes.
What can we expect in the next 10 years from Arduino? Will you go even more in the pro domain, or is there a vision?
Oh, wow. That's a very grand statement. I think, yes, we will go in more of the pro domain, no doubt. But if I think of some of the most exciting kind of pieces that are going to feature in the Arduino Day streaming that commences on Friday, it's things like generative AI just to make the if you like, Arduino's approach was always about simplicity and making complex technology as easy as possible to use for everyone. And a lot of that will be, you know, when you're using the IDE, when you're using the Arduino cloud, to make that as simple as possible for your general user. You can still do full coding if you want to, because that's obviously an important part of the learning journey, but we're also making it as approachable and easy to access for everyone. And I think that's still going to be at heart and the fundamental of Arduino, as you know, for the foreseeable future. Jens, if you were to look 10 years in advance, it's very difficult to say where we'll be with technology, but I hope that, you know, Arduino will still be at the forefront of making it accessible.
Yeah, and that leads me to a question, if I may. AI exploded with, I think, ChatGPT 3.5. It was always a presence looming just around the corner, but then it just exploded suddenly. It took 40 years for it to become an overnight success. How has that affected your industry, Keith?
Well, it makes me laugh because obviously you guys were at the show as well, and you couldn't go to a booth throughout embedded world without AI being plastered in your face. You couldn't miss AI. But what we found when we were talking to visitors to the Arduino booth is people they've understood the technology, they got the chips, everybody's saying about the capability. What they were uncertain of was how they would use AI in their own business for their own solutions. So I think it's going to be, you know, How will it be relevant for Arduino? I think it's really, really important for us to show how people can use Arduino within AI capabilities. So, you know, we had a couple of demos, both on our own stand and partner stands, showing how they could typically use AI on the edge. So we had one with a company called Elektor, who were basically by working with Arduino, it had basically they've got an AI Metis chip, and it accelerates the Arduino SOMs, so working with the Portenta X8, and it basically enables you to give you enough performance to run a fully LLM model on the edge, which is pretty rare. So, you know, Arduino isn't necessarily coming at it on our own. We're partnering with experts in the area. And again, from that accessible point of view, I've seen some books, if you like, by some of the kind of professors at Harvard, where they're kind of introducing AI models and how you get into machine learning as well. And more often than not, those tutorial books, publications, are using Arduino as well to get people started.
I'd like to see that, because I've tried LLMs on various tiny devices on the edge, and they're either very slow or the models are too small to give you useful answers. But I think we're definitely headed in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, the example that Accelera had was a chatbot. So obviously a chatbot, typically, you know, you're going to have to be fully connected to the internet and a huge data center to go through all of the scenarios that you could have in a chat. But they did have it effectively working so that, you know, let's say if you're in a medical setting or industrial setting, so more of a limited scope, they did have a fully functional offline chatbot that was running with the Portenta X8 and their chip.
Awesome. And with that, shall we go over to Jens for some of his discoveries?
Yeah, we can do. Yep. Yeah, that's actually a picture I made at the first day, and I think it was 10 o'clock or something, and you can see it was already quite crowded in the halls, especially in that hall 4A, which is, from my perspective, maybe the most beautiful hall, with all that daylight. And yeah, they had the big companies here, and you can see here the ST booth, Aero booth in the background on SEMI, and many other companies were there. And yeah, you can see there were already a lot of people. And later, especially the second day, it was partly so crowded that you could hardly go to these nice demos. For example, ST, they had a lot of demos also from the AI domain, but also other demos. We will come in some minutes to that. Yeah, that was one of my first things I have seen. I got a presentation from Analog Devices. And yeah, you know, they have, of course, a lot of chips, as the name of the company says, in the analog domain, but they also have microcontrollers, the Max XXX pieces, and they now decided to have a common IDE, which was not built totally from scratch. It's based on VS Code, Visual Studio Code. It's very common at the moment in the embedded world. Yeah, and they made this Code Fusion IDE, and yeah, it has several benefits. You can, for example, assign pins and peripherals very easily, and also clocks and so on. And yeah, you have more and more SoCs or chips hosting more than one controller. So maybe you have two controllers inside one chip, and you even have two teams working on some software. The one is working on the ARM core, another one is working on the RISC-V core in that chip. And yeah, with that tool, I think it's a Code Fusion System Planner core, you can then easily assign pins and resources to that course. And if, for example, these two teams will assign the same pin, the system will complain. So yeah, I think it's a very powerful tool for all people who are developing applications with ADI chips. Yeah, I've seen so many interesting things. Also at the smaller booths, that was a smaller booth, but yeah, they are coming from China, and so a long trip, and so they had a booth maybe 5 to 10 square meters, and with only one woman there, but that has nothing to say about their portfolio. They have they have really a big amount of different chips. The company is called AI Thinker. They are from Shenzhen, China. Interestingly, I'm also using a board from them. They make quite cheap boards and quite cheap system on chips, using controllers from different semiconductor companies. I'm using at the moment an audio board, which is quite cheap. I will report on that maybe in the circuit special, but I have many more boards and chips. Interesting, for example, is that ultra wideband chip at the bottom. That is a new kind of transmission technology, and you can also use it for positioning. That is very interesting. And Tam Hanna, which is a regular author for Elektor, he also was on the embedded show, of course, and he also discovered that ultra wideband chip. And yeah, you can use it really for finding the position of a device with centimeter accuracy. And yeah, we both agreed that Tam Hanna will write an article about that. So that is yet to come. Yeah, then Edge Impulse, of course, was worth a visit. They also had a lot of demos with platforms from different semiconductor companies. For example, one semiconductor company was Qualcomm, and interestingly, they announced some days before that Qualcomm is acquiring Edge Impulse, so that was in a double sense interesting. And I had a look on that Qualcomm demo. Yeah, and they are using, interestingly, a large language model, more precisely a visual language model. And yeah, this visual language model, it's pre-filtering in a kind of way the data. So you have, for example, a video stream, or you have a live view from a webcam. And this visual language model will find the cars in this video stream. It was demonstrated, of course, with model cars. You can see at the bottom. And if the large visual language model will detect a model car, then you can have another layer of AI then detecting even more details of this model car. It is a sophisticated matter. I think it's definitely worth an Elektor article, because I see more and more that large language models are working together with smaller models. The scale factor is maybe about 1 million. So yeah, you have for these smaller modules 100,000 parameters, and for the large language models you have billions of parameters, and they are working in a complex way together. So they are supporting each other, or the smaller model can do pre-filtering or the other way around. So that would be definitely worth an Elektor article, I would say. Here you can see what they did with this model car demo, and you can see you really could also ask questions in real language to that application. Coming to the next, that was the Espressif booth. Yeah, there were also a lot of things to say. I'm always interested in Bluetooth LE audio, which is part of a new Bluetooth standard, and you may know that Espressif also has a H4 chip featuring that Bluetooth standard. And yeah, you can see they now have a prototype of a board, but up to now they don't have a board. So I'm desperately waiting on that board. Maybe it will come this year, they said. And yeah, we come later to this, Brian. I think you have a nice video snippet. That is the smallest microcontroller from Texas Instruments. And yeah, I've also seen some very interesting. That is from a company, Tianma. And you can see they are using a transparent display, which is built with micro LEDs. And yeah, this is really, I think, really a nice feature. You can use it for head-up displays in cars, for example. But I've seen even more displays. That is a so-called holographic display. It's not to see that clearly in the video here. You can see it a little bit better, but okay, picture just shows 2 dimensions. It's a little bit in the 3rd dimension, so this holographic keyboard is really in front of the display, and you can, if you touch it virtually, it will also react on touches. So it's a very clean thing, so to say. And yeah, I've seen another display that is 1 wheel on the display, so they call it wheel on display, and it acts like a kind of rotary encoder. And interestingly, there's no axis reaching in the display. This wheel is just mounted on the display. But they said, okay, you will need a kind of new touch controller for it. So they are also offering the touch controller for the display. The company is called Data Module. And that is a demo I've seen at the ST booth. It has nothing to do with AI. It's board which can harvest energy, and you can see it's solar energy. It's a Panasonic solar module, and it generates a few microamps, and it can load a lithium-ion battery, and then you can transmit LoRa messages from LoRa board, also from ST, and you, like in a ST manner, you can put these boards together, and you have a complete energy independent LoRa station. Yeah, I think it's one of my last slides. That is VisNet module. You can see it's seems to be an Ethernet connector, but there's also a controller inside. And yeah, interestingly, you just have the connector to mount on your PCB, and like VisNet does it, you have just 2 UART pins, and you can communicate with that Ethernet controller, which is actually integrated in that Ethernet connector, to send this VisNet controller some commands, do that and that in Ethernet, so you don't have to dive in Ethernet, so as VisNet does it. Yeah, and one of the last slides, that these are electrochromic sunglasses. You can see not everything on the embedded world has to do with chips and boards. Yeah, they invented sunglasses, and they get dark when a small light sensor in this sunglass detects there is too much light, then it gets dark in a time frame of 1 second. So yeah, it's an interesting approach. I would like to try out that in daily life. Maybe it's a little bit disturbing here and there, even maybe if you are in a car and if you are in real traffic or something like that, and it suddenly gets dark. But yeah, maybe it's also a very good thing. Maybe if you do sports or if you're just going around. Yeah, and I also visited Microchip. They had also a lot of demos. One nice demo was this application where they had sensor boards, and the sensors send data to a bigger board. Yeah, normally you have a kind of a bus system and a kind of protocols for sending the sensor data to the bigger board, and then the bigger board acts as a sort of gateway, transforming it in the Ethernet Wi-Fi domain. But here you are using Ethernet for all the nodes, and this is facilitated because you have only very cheap Ethernet nodes and a very cheap connection, which is called single pair Ethernet. So you have here, you can see you just have 2 screw clamps, so you don't need a dedicated Ethernet connector. And instead of 8 wires, you just use 2, and they are twisted a bit. And yeah, with this, you can really communicate in the whole application in the Ethernet domain. And yeah, according to the guy at the booth, you can achieve ranges 25 meters, 50 meters in a bus system. And if you have a point-to-point node, point-to-point communication, you have even longer distances. And yeah, that is my last slide, and it's not the most easy one. That was a small booth really in our neighborhood. And yeah, it's from a university-like institute, and they invented hardware software co-design called M3. And the sophisticated thing is you have here different hardware modules, and they are communicating via some communication lines, and you have always this TCU. I think that's Trusted Communication Unit. And yeah, the interesting thing, this TCU acts like a sort of gatekeeper. You can only have very secure traffic, so the whole system is not that vulnerable anymore. And interestingly, they set these tiles, so the hardware modules, they can be so small, and even also these TCU gatekeeper modules, they can be so small as FPGA code and also the software running, that you can prove mathematically that is totally secure and there are no bugs in it. So there is some sort of mathematical proof. If the code is small enough, you can really prove that there are no errors. So that could be kind of future of secure, trusted controller design. Yeah, that was all from me. You will find more in the May edition. We will all contribute to Elektor article, and yeah.
Great, thanks for that.
Yes, many more news.
Looks like you had you also got your 10,000 steps a day by the looks of things. Yeah, let me go back to our giveaway because we're halfway through the show. I mentioned earlier that we're giving away the How to get started with the NXP Freedom MCX N947 development board. Great book, first of all, but that's not all, as they say in advertising. It comes with the board as well. So now, in order to enter, here is the giveaway page, and you can see the URL up on the screen. And our code word for this one, why not, will be freedom. Give you a moment to take that in, and then we will move on to a couple of comments. Gregor McKenzie was clearly there. He said Espressif had poor luck with their samples getting stuck in customs. And Jorgen wants to know if Espressif presented any ESP32 P4 modules like a dev kit. I definitely saw P4 there, but I'm not sure about dev kits because they seem to be focusing a lot on the C5 and C6 as well as a bunch of other stuff. So if you visit our Elektor.tv page, let me just take you through some of my stuff. I did do an interview there. I took a lot more video as opposed to photos, and it was very busy. I'm used to the luxury of being able to go around a booth and take video leisurely, but this time they were just, all you were getting were people's backs unless you shot over their heads. But yeah, some of the ESP and Espressif demos you can see there, and also a very interesting chat I had there with Anant. Besides Espressif, I showed off this stair climbing wheelchair, which was quite impressive. I mean, normal stairs. First time I've seen a wheelchair with a backup camera, so you could actually see what you're reversing into. I chose to shoot this in portrait mode because of the stairs. There was a height element to it, but so YouTube decided it was a short. You'll find that under shorts if you're interested. And then this was the Raspberry Pi booth I was talking about. Have a look at the gray in the background. They're also going more industrial. And yeah, this is the shooting stuff I'm talking about. Not easy. Look at the number of people. I had to go over them, under them, around them, edit them out. It was a very packed show this year, which is not a bad thing, but it just does get in the way of logistics sometimes. Revolution Pi, yeah. Raspberry Pi had a few industrial partners there, and I won't take too long rehashing what the video says. Just visit our Elektor page on YouTube or Elektor TV Industry. Very interesting interview here with QNX, Lue, and he showed us some of their cloud stuff and their local stuff running on the edge. Here's the robot arm simulated in real time, while the real robot arm is also there on the disk. So all kinds of applications for that. You start with simulation, then you move into the real world environment, and they operate seamlessly together. I did take a few photos. This is, NXP had a big booth. This is just one side section, just about the Freedom boards. And it was, again, packed. And they're going big on Freedom. So just have a look at that. Many development boards there. Oh, and Mauser, they had a clever giveaway. They had these boards here. So it's actually a board you can build. You can put a battery on there, a switch, an LED, a resistor, and you've made yourself a torch. Ideal for teaching kids. So, and on the back, you've got a QR code, which will take you to their website where you can order components for this. Now, I love teaching the kids stuff like that, so I decided to be greedy and I asked them if they could give me more than that. So I got a bunch. Now I can do another soldering class with the kids. So they can make their own torch. Nice and simple, especially for the younger ones, because last year we made a Christmas tree and it had like 36 LEDs, so it wasn't for the very small. That, of course, is the world's smallest MCU, or at least claims to be. Looking at the size, I was asking ChatGPT how big a house ant is, and apparently this is smaller than an ant. You can see my Elektor pen there. It fits. It's just a little bit bigger than the ball at the bottom. Also had an interesting interview about that at Texas Instruments. Got all the deets, so you can find that on our YouTube channel as well. I visited Nordic. I've always loved their wireless modules, and they did have quite a bit of new innovations, as well as showing off their existing series. Nice booth as well, and nice display. Although the white backlighting did make it difficult to take photographs even with the flash, but they did have quite a few neat boards going on there. ST was there, a lot on motor control and power technology, which was interesting. I know they had a lot else going on there, but I was on this side where it was a bit quieter and managed to actually get some time with Vincent here. The Raspberry Pi booth again. You see the gray color I was talking about. And then I noticed Yocto was in a lot of places. For example, this is the embedded kit booth, and they have out-of-the-box solutions to build and secure your Yocto Linux distribution device. And right next door to them was Yocto Project themselves, a non-profit designed to support the Yocto ecosystem. And then finally, that's just for fun, Texas Instruments. I was interested in that smallest microcontroller because my first computer here was Texas Instruments. And I looked at the data sheet. I'm not 100% sure yet, but it might just be 5-volt tolerant. And it would be so cool if I could just interface this tiny ant-sized microcontroller with my 44-year-old computer, just for kicks. That's enough from me. I did see we were talking about the logistics happening at Espressif, so I will ask Keith, when you were setting up and planning your booth, did you have any challenges like that?
No, but then we are lucky because obviously, although I'm based in the UK, the main Arduino office is in Turin. So basically, our staff drove to the show, so we avoided all the chaos on the Monday with the industrial action that was taking place at the German airports, and meant we could get set up no problem. But I did, my sympathy goes out to the Espressif team. I know people often consider us to be competitors, but we're actually in the same ecosystem. And I just wanted to mention, as part of Arduino Day on Friday, tomorrow, our CEO, Fabio Violante, will be talking to the founder and CEO of Espressif. So, sharing their experience of basically developing the market and what we do in IoT and AI together.
Yeah, I think I did mention that in my interview with Marcello, which is that you'd expect you to be competitors, but you guys were quick enough to jump on and put an Espressif chip on your Espressif module on one of your boards. So kudos to that. Yeah,
we worked together. We've done webinars together in the past. The Arduino Cloud supports the Espressif boards, so we get a lot of cross-pollination, if you like, in terms of the user base.
Great, and I'm also keen to see that Eben Upton from Raspberry Pi will also be speaking on to celebrate your 20th anniversary. So it's nice to see everyone working together.
Yeah, absolutely. All friends.
Okay. Yeah. And then finally, I want to see what Jean-Francois has discovered. Before I hand over to Jean-Francois, I just want to say to the chat, keep the questions coming. We've got people from all over, including where I'm from here. Ray Smith from South Africa, and we even got one guy coming to us all the way from Earth, which is, I don't know what the time there is, but let's go over to Jean-Francois. Put up your slides. Tell us what you discovered.
Thanks, Brian. Well, it was a very busy show, as you said, so I think I won't have time to cover everything I saw, but you guys already talked a little bit about ST, so I will be quick, but they had a lot of going on, indeed, and many demos in many fields. That's quite impressive to see that they have this whole range of micros, from very small to very big. Of course, they were trying to push the STM32U3 on the low end of the range, and the STM32N6 on the higher end of the range with the AI accelerator. And the person I talked to introduced me to the STM32C0 series as well in the middle, with the USB and CAN connectivity. And but besides the micros, there were also many cool sensors. This is a current sensor made for battery-powered devices and electric mobility, I think. And also, this demo you featured, it was about electric drives. I think I have a picture of. Oh no, I don't have it here. Sorry. It was a very cool picture of a time of flight sensor that was almost looking like a camera. It was really impressive. So it's basically a flat laser diode, and it's sending a ping and then processing the signal that gets reflected. And usually you get only a rough estimate of distance like this, but this is much more advanced, and you could see a map. I will try to find a picture later. You could see a map of pixels, and with the probability of your hand being in this or that pixel, it was really accurate. It was crazy. You could control a coffee machine with it. It was a really impressive demo. Apart from that, what do I have? This was shot on Lattice booth, because I went there to have a quick look after I got interested in FPGAs for the little article I edited last year. I'm mostly interested in low-end FPGAs and the very small ones, cheap ones, like they used to sell the iStick. It was a small USB thumb drive with a small FPGA on it, and it was very popular. It costed about $30, but now it's gone much higher in price. I think they are trying to discontinue it slowly, and so they are focusing more and more on the really high. Well, they call that medium class, but so they were, which is pretty high end nevertheless. This is let me look, Avant X70, and so they call that mid-range, but that's still 600,000 lookup tables, so that's quite a lot. And it has 25 gigabit per second interfaces, several of them, so it's crazy quick. And it's in the demos I've seen. Let me see if I have another picture. This is a 5G base station. So they were focusing mainly on the cellular networking and high-speed data. This is 5G as well. They were partnering with the analog devices, I think, for the RF part. And this was encoding some high-speed bit streams and then sending over to the RF part and then decoding back. It was interesting. And I also met some, as usual, they have some partners on their stand, because, well, an FPGA itself is not, you can't visualize much what you're doing with it. So they always invite some partners. And so there was a French company called Secure IC, and if I remember correctly, and they are making some interesting. They are using it for an interesting application. They are building post-quantum cryptography solutions. So that's to build cryptography algorithms that will be strong against the quantum computer when it's finally there. So that's kind of a fun idea, I think. Let me see, what do I have apart from that? I also went to M5 Stack. It was right besides the Espressif booth. It's using their ESP32 products. It's a nice, a very extensive collection of modules for prototyping, and also complete solutions you can build and stack little processor boards and I/O boards and LCD board and keyboard. And they even have a PLC here. So that you can quickly go you can quickly make a proof of concept of your products with that, and they are really productive. I think they are producing one new product every 2 weeks. I think that's what they told me. It's
wow,
quite fast. A bit like Microelectronica used to do in the past. I'm not sure if they still hold that speed, but it's. So they have hundreds of modules. Their latest, one of the latest ones were this one on the bottom, the green one. It has a LoRa connectivity. What else? Yeah, they are trying to enter more into automation with this little PLC, but I'm not sure about. It's not sure about reliability and certification when you want to install that in a factory. Perhaps it's a bit. Yeah, here it is, and you have all these stamps for connectivity. And I will speed up a little bit. This is this was an Altera booth. It's beefy FPGAs from them, and I heard the Keys talking about Accelerate before. It's funny that you mentioned them because they were also on the Altera stand with their Claire hypervisor, which is an interesting piece of software that allows the FPGA to run two operating systems at once, and then this is used for safety critical applications, for example, public transport or heavy machinery or stuff like that. And then if one of your OS hangs up, then the other one can take control and reboot the computer very quickly. It's like kind of like a watchdog, but more powerful, of course, and much more flexible.
It's a lot bigger than a watchdog.
Yeah. This was from the Giga device. I remember Giga device for their GD32 blah 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 microcontrollers, which are compatible with which are kind of similar to ST parts, but in fact they do a whole range of other stuff. This is a 24-bit ADC, which looks really fancy. If you the part number is here, GD30AD3640. If you want to look it up, nice. I had a friendly chat with Mr. McNee. I'm not sure if he's watching, but hello. He was really friendly, and he told me he used to be subscribed to Elektor Mag a few years ago. What else? Yeah, this is also from Giga Device in Power Electronics demo. This is This is from the RISC-V booth. They had quite a busy stand as well, with many industry partners. They were really trying to push RISC-V in various domains. So of course there was a focus on AI and machine learning. All that they had to be because it's trendy. But there was a really nice collection of boards from very small to quite big, from 10-cent microcontrollers to a big Linux board. So yeah, I didn't spend enough time there. They had some really nice presentations, I think, but I was not lucky enough to watch any of them. So I will have to check on YouTube if they are available later. I think it was more like the presentation from industry leaders using RISC-V rather than practical demos. But I will have to double check. And this is a smaller company in Dekimo in Belgium. I heard of them because they are a contractor. They can do electronics design and hardware, software, everything, and the product design. And this I've seen them on LinkedIn because they are providing. I don't know if you can see it here. It's a little panel, and it's just a demo product. It's upside down. Sorry about that. And you can cut the parts and then assemble them, and you get a little decayed box resistor for prototyping. So I thought it was interesting, nice gadget. What else do I have? This is from Batronics, which is a supplier of measurement equipment. And last year I was there too, and they were very proud of their Magnova oscilloscope. This is it on the left, and it's really huge. It's a 15-inch screen, tactile, with the physical knobs on the right. It's a very novel approach to user interface. So I think it's very great for education, but perhaps some old fans of and old users of traditional scopes are a bit puzzled by this, but I think there is quite a bit of potential in this this new UI. And so this year, of course, they were presenting it again, but they were focusing on more on important software updates for it. I think they told me about the logic analyzer being finalized or something like that. And you can see how big it is compared to this Unity signal generator. And speaking of Unity, this is another Chinese company, DF Robot. And I knew them because of thanks to their extensive list of sensor modules that you can buy for prototyping your projects. They have a whole range of them. It's pretty interesting. But in fact, it was the first time they were on the. Sorry about that. It was the first time ever on Embedded World because their parent company is the same as the Latte Panda single board computers. So they were presenting them as well. I don't know if you ever used them, Brian, or if you. I think they are a competitor to Raspberry Pi on some aspects.
I've got some DF Robot modules. I'm not sure which ones though. They have so many. I'm looking at their website now as you speak, trying to remember what I bought from them. But yeah.
They have a very big catalog as well. So they were presenting all the Latte Panda single board computers as well for more industrial use, I think. Here in you can't see well, but in this part of the picture, it was a cool demo where they use some gas sensor to detect garlic. So their little microcontroller was able to tell this is garlic or this is not garlic, and it was indeed garlic. No doubt about this. And
of course, the Frenchman found detecting garlic music.
Yeah, of course, I was there for that. What do you expect? And this is a really high-end Unity oscilloscope. And I think I'm getting towards the end of my list now. I kind of remember Unity for their admittedly low-end quality multimeters. I have a few of them back here, and but they are trying to move their game up and to produce really high-quality equipment now. And so really big oscilloscopes, big spectrum analyzers, really gigahertz of bandwidth and stuff like that. It was really impressive, and the price tags are not cheap either. I think this is about 5K euro or something like that. They have a whole range of things in the 5K to 15K range, and so they are really trying to compete with Siglent and Rigel now, and even to the point that they set up an European distributor in Germany. So obviously you can directly order your expensive stuff. You don't have to use AliExpress anymore. So they are changing the focus of the brand a bit. Yeah, this is oh, sorry, I forgot to edit out my foot. This is this was on the startups whole. It was a nice series of little small startups showing their products and ideas. This is from Eloprint, and it's these are 3D printed test gigs for your PCB, and it's you can put your PCB to test, and there are some pogo pins underneath, and you press the lever, this lever or this lever, and then you can reliably program your board or test it or do whatever you want. And it's very flexible because it's 3D printed. And so I thought it was interesting. And this year they were trying to upgrade a bit as well and to move to aluminum structures like this. So it's kind of like a suitcase, and you can replace the bottom part. And then the middle part you can swap with another one for another product. So it's flexible. So yeah, lots of products, and I couldn't see everything. 3 days I was only there for 2 days, and it's too short. I mean, I should go back, but so many products. So this is all for me. Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, Jean-Francois. It looks like you also got to see quite a lot. What was your record steps?
Yeah. Very tiring days.
Great. Christopher Sheeby asked if show a block diagram of that TI. I'm not going to bring up the block diagram, but I'll tell you where to get it.
I had a look. It has eight pins, the controller, and an ADC with 3 channels, and of course interface like SPI and so on.
Yeah,
so it's
Frank
really 6
very long
GPIO.
bit.
Yeah. 6 GPIOs, so you can really do something with it.
Yeah, the MSP M0 or something, you mean the smallest one?
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that's going to be painful is the package, because those
Yes.
solder balls are really close, and I think the usual PCB suppliers that many of you guys know, JLC, PCBWay, and etc., I think they won't be happy with that, because it's, or at least it won't be as cheap as it can be for this kind of tolerance.
But yeah, if you find this video of ours in the description, you'll find an appropriate link. Frank de Hert, thank you for also helping with the link. That's a very long link. I'm not going to read that out loud. I'd just go to our YouTube channel, find the video. There's a link right there which will tell you all about that from Texas Instruments themselves.
When I was there, I asked if they could give away some development kits for this, but apparently they didn't have any more. But I think it's on sale on the usual distributors for about 60 euros. So it's okay.
Yeah. Still impressive specs. As Jens was saying, 16K of flash, 1K of SRAM, running at 24 megahertz, ITC, SPI, 12-bit ADC, UART. Crazy, and it's smaller than an ant.
Yeah, but for that size and price, you don't get a plastic package. It's a wafer scale chip package. So it's interesting. They are making it in big wafers as they do, and then they directly cut with the diamond saw, and that's it. It's finished. You don't. They don't put it in an epoxy package. So as it's intended for wearables and very small electronics, it's kind of expected that the enclosure of the final product will protect the MCU itself. Perhaps you can put a blob of epoxy on it, or if you're just prototyping.
Yeah, I did ask about development kits because that thing is really tiny, and I'm not sure I trust my skills to get anything done with that, unless it breaks out to a bigger package.
Did you get some in the end?
No, but
Yeah.
they are available, dev kits. Keith Jackson, who's the man sitting in front of you right here with the Arduino background, he says you can find the full Arduino Days agenda. So I'll just put that up on screen if I can. At days.arduino.cc/about. Now, I did have a look at this yesterday, Keith, and there's so much going on here. How do we decide where to start? I mean,
yeah, I just couldn't resist publishing that just because Jean-Francois was talking about M5 stack, and we've actually got a new product announcement going on tomorrow afternoon with them, where we'll be unveiling the new Arduino Nesso N1. So I just thought it was appropriate to share that with the audience. But yeah, I think we've got over 70 different, talks happening over the 2 days. So a very busy agenda.
Yeah, I don't know how you manage that. No. It's a lot of logistics to get that all together.
Yeah, I'd say bad timing coming off. It's coming so quickly after Embedded World, but it is Arduino's birthday, so we can't really change that date.
Yeah, I lost what I was looking at. Here it is. This new product announcement, Arduino and M5 Stack unveiled, the Arduino Nesso N1. Okay, well, I'm looking forward to hearing more about that, Keith.
Yeah. We'll keep the Elektor team in the loop, no doubt. And I think Elektor are doing a number of kind of specials as well for Arduino Day, so that's great to see.
Yeah. The usual question, what is the code word? Well, you could rewind the show, but it's FRDM, Freedom, or FRDM. It's based on the giveaway that we're giving away today. With that said, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us, both at home and in studio. And to you, Keith, it's not your birthday, but happy birthday to Arduino. Love your background, by the way.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me on the show. It's been a real pleasure, and great to see what Jean-Francois and Jens and yourself picked up from the show. It's wandering around. There's so much to see, so it's just interesting what attracts different people's eyes and what they pick up from the stand. So a great takeaway. Thank you.
Yeah, that's kind of our mandate when we get to the show. We get dropped on the ground and then spread out like ants and come back with information. But thanks again for joining us for the entire hour,
No
Keith.
problem.
And Jens and Jean-Francois, especially with your cold, Jean-Francois, thank you for joining me from France and Jens from Germany.
No worries. My pleasure.
Thank you, Brian.
And thanks to our audience from around the world. I see Vietnam even joined us, so we've got representation on the Far East as well. So wherever you are, whether it's good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, thank you for joining us. Good luck if you entered the competition, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.